Okay, welcome to the special meeting. We're presenting the garbage plan. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you to the members of the council for coming in for the special meeting, and also to the public who are viewing and those who may participate. Basically, going to do a PowerPoint presentation. Part of it is addressing some of the frequently asked questions that we've been receiving about the plan, and to try to give you a better picture of what and why we're doing here. So I think I got it here. Yep. As stated, the city has invested in new garbage trucks that utilize a mechanical arm to lift the garbage recycling receptacles and tilt waste into the truck. Basically, we're getting away from the three-man truck. The mechanical arm will reduce the number of workers, and at the same time, no employee will be losing their job because of this. Over a period of time, we will have hopefully a reduction in workforce, and that reduction will be done through attrition. But one of the primary reasons for doing it is to protect the workforce. And as you see, when we go through some of these pictures, you'll realize how tough of a job it is. We also want to increase our recycling rate, and the new receptacles will encourage more households to recycle, because it's you're limiting the amount of what you can put out in regular trash. And it also allows us to keep better track of the receptacles, determining what belongs to who. And we can then violate people for garbage thrown on the street, people who are not following the rules. So this is our current system here. These are, of course, wintertime pictures where it's more difficult for the manpower. The cans get very heavy. The bags get very heavy with weight from rain, snow, ice. The conditions in the field are not very good. And this contributed to in our analysis here, which was a few years back, of about 50% of our workman's comp claims came from the sanitation department. We have since then retrofitted some of the trucks with the back end lifts on all of the trucks, and we have seen a reduction in our comp claims over the last couple of years as they relate to the less lifting by employees. This is a picture of downtown. And as you know, downtown we pick up 7 nights a week. The litter baskets in the middle picture and on the right, they have become garbage receptacles for household garbage. The one on the left is the King Street area. So we're going to address that all in our new laws. And there's special rules and regulations for the downtown businesses. They have yet to receive their cans. But we're in the process of doing that. This is one of the other problems with not having covered cans. And as you can see, the birds, and I'm sure almost everyone has experienced this with animals, whether they're raccoons, dogs, rodents, or crows, especially crows, digging out the bags and distributing the food all over and wrappings all over your neighborhood. These new cans are designed for you to close the lid shut. As we've gone through some of the neighborhoods, some people have been leaving the lids open because they felt they were helping the sanitation workers by giving them, an opportunity to dump it without opening the lid themselves. But no, you need to shut the lid, and part of the reason for doing this is because of the animals getting into the garbage and throwing it all over your lawn. Starting on April 12th, we began distribution. We received the new cans. They are compatible with the trucks that have been on order. The trucks cost about $360,000 each. They will be coming in around October, November. As I mentioned, the bid has not received their cans as of yet, and they come in 3 different sizes: 35-gallon, 65-gallon, and 95-gallon. These are the pictures of each can, each size. The smaller ones although the smaller one in this picture is not on wheels, they are all on wheels, and they are very easy to maneuver. Of course, if you're elderly and or have a disability, it may be more difficult to handle the larger can, so we will issue the smaller can if you so desire. If you need to call DPW and swap it out, as soon as the new cans are in, there's been more of a demand than we anticipated, more are on order. We will then bring it to your house and swap the larger one for the smaller one. You just need to dial the 343-3169, which is the DPW office. To give you some perspective on how big the cans are, you probably have one in your yard now, but this person in the picture is 5 feet 11, and those are the different sizes of the cans and different widths and different depth. We've had some feedback about proper placement. This one shows on the in the driveway. They do not have to be in your driveway. If you can, that's better. But you're not allowed to park within 3 to 4 feet of a driveway. So our rules that we put in place was to place the trash receptacle within 4 feet of your driveway. This will give the automated arm truck the opportunity to reach in, grab the can, and place the can back on your property. If you do not have a driveway, then you need to contact DPW, and they will work it out with you for a new location on where they can pick it up. Recycling, I mentioned it earlier. We have a 6% recycling rate. It's been pretty consistent for the last several years, and we've talked about it each year and how we can do better. Since we've put the cans out a few weeks ago, we have already seen an uptick in recycling, and I think if you ride around your own neighborhood, you'll see more blue cans out on Thursday night from people who haven't recycled before. If you have more recycling than you have space for in your can, just a reminder, our recycling center is open at 76 Monhagan Avenue. I think it's Monday through Friday, correct, Jacob?
Yes, sir.
And during normal business hours. So you can also just bring your cardboard, some of the larger items, you can bring up to the recycling center yourself if you want to get rid of things before the week comes up. One of the questions was holidays, and we produce a lot of garbage during Christmas time and or other holiday seasons. So we're going to identify those times when large people have large amounts of garbage to put out. And we are talking about additional pickups, or, and this is probably the way we're going to go, is the use of your recycling receptacle that week for garbage. So you'll basically be able to double the garbage output. We're not going to leave you with garbage in your home during the holidays. We're going to make sure we pick it up, even if we have to pick it up on a weekend. We'll go for the overtime. We'll do whatever's necessary to pick up the trash. So I know that's been one of the major feedback that I've received is, what do I do at holiday time? Because I put out a lot of trash at holiday time. So another option, rather than an additional pickup, is allowing for that week to have bag garbage and just putting on the regular shift additional people. And but we'll make that decision by well before December, and it will be communicated directly to the public. We try to put together some frequently asked questions. And why the need for the standardized collection receptacle? Why can't I buy my own? Why can't I go to Home Depot and buy one? And the system requires, the automated arm requires these certain type of container to be used to match the truck that we've purchased. The lids are an important part of it, and they're designed to be left closed by the residents, and they will automatically open as the receptacle is dumped. So once we fully implement the program, you cannot put garbage on the side. You cannot put out your own container. You cannot do any of those things. So you have to manage your trash. And the normal household, if you are recycling and with the size of the containers, we could probably fit 2 Joe Massey's in the 95-gallon container. Handles an awful lot of garbage. Now, if you're like me, if you're like me and you have 4 generations in your house and you require an additional container for the solid waste, you can get one at an annual fee of $100. Some people have already done so. I paid my fee today. I'm hoping that it will be dropped off. Once you pay the fee, the city will arrange to drop the container off at your house. It will be recorded in our system, and then you will be allowed to put out 2 containers a week. And that is an awful lot of garbage. That is not a one-time charge. That is an annual charge of $100. There were some questions about who collects the garbage. The garbage is not privatized, although there was discussion about that. This is a City of Middletown employees, City of Middletown crews. So all responsibility, scheduling will be the same as it is now. There may be some adjustments to schedules based on maybe some one-way streets or some downtown. But at this time, it's just a normal collection. Put out your single can, covered up, and there'll be no issues. Will my service be on the same day? I just answered that. Yes, it will. And some routes, as I said, may be adjusted, but that will be determined after the new trucks are in and what would be easier for the new trucks. For example, some of the one-way streets, we may require an additional person for that section of the route, and maybe we'll do one-way streets on a certain night for each ward. But it's just an option that we're talking about if we're unable to reach the trash that's out there. But with the amount of garbage I put out in the collection change, and you will be able to fill the 95-gallon receptacle. There's 2 restrictions. One, you must place the lid for all the reasons stated. Don't overfill it where it's piling, 2 feet above the of the can. And the weight, you got to use common sense. Don't fill it with dirt and C and D materials that will put it way over the weight load. What if I generate more garbage and I can put out my garbage receptacle? And that is the option that I already stated. If it's a regular thing, then you can do it on a rental for the annual fee of $100. If it's not regular, then maybe your neighbor will let you put it in their trash can for the night or something. But it's the idea, this is not just a unique City of Middletown proposal. These are proposals that are used nationwide and basically worldwide. And many of the communities we've looked at do not give the option of a second can for pickup. It is you stick with the 1 can and then you bring your extra sanitation to the dump yourself. We're not doing that. The size collection of the cans I already stated. Pictures are on the internet. And how will I keep track of which collection receptacle is mine? They are inventoried by address, and they are assigned to the address. They'll be marked, so the city will be recording it, and we will be able to track and determine where it belongs if one goes missing, or if they get mixed up. The receptacles will belong to the city, and do belong to the city, and they'll be provided to each property. It's your responsibility, obviously, to keep them clean and in good condition, not the city's responsibility. I did get a question about whether we can spray paint our number of our street address on the side. I haven't talked to the commissioner about that yet, but it doesn't look that great as we go around, but I haven't got an answer on that yet. And, Jacob is mentioning maybe you can do that on the inside of the lid for identification purposes, so we don't look horrible going down the street. What if it breaks? And they're designed to withstand all seasons, and including cold winter temperatures. As I said, we're not the only people that do this. In the event that it is damaged, contact the sanitation department for repair or replacement, or contact DPW. Any associated fees will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, depending on the cause of the damage. Most of the time, it will not be the responsibility of the property owner if it's damaged, say as a car hit it or something. But we reserve the right, if we see a pattern of abuse, that we can charge you for a replacement. The replacement cost would be $60 at this time, because that is the cost of the replacement of the container. And we'll do our best to assist you if they are stolen. I don't know why somebody would steal one. They're labeled City of Middletown, and easily identifiable, but we will work with the property owner. We just want to make sure that you know that you can't just go out and deliberately abuse them and break them. I addressed how do I know which one is mine, and we said you can write the number on the inside of the lid. One other question was about trucks working on the hill. Some people that lived on a hill were concerned, and yes, the armed trucks will work on a hill. Can it work in an alley? And this is the same as the one-way street. No. On the alley, yes, we believe on the one-way street. But those are areas, if you're putting out in an alley, we will designate the downtown area where you can put out your trash so that it makes it easier for the pickup, and at the same time, you're not interfering with pedestrian traffic. What if I don't have very much garbage? Do I still have to drag out a large receptacle every week? The answer is no, unless you feel you should, because your garbage is smelly or potentially attracts wildlife. You may want to have it emptied on a weekly basis. That choice would be yours, but obviously in the summer months, I don't think you want to have your garbage out there every week, but that's your call on how you handle. We don't force you to put out trash weekly, and we certainly can't force you to do this either. But when you do put it out, it must go in the container. Will the garbage truck operator pick up my garbage if the lid is open a little bit? The textbook answer is no, but we also understand that this is going to be a learning process and people need to get accustomed to it, so I wouldn't be too concerned about this part. We're going to do an educational, continue to do things on Channel 20 on social media. We are also going to have a brochure that will be going to each household. People who are chronic violators will get a visit from someone from the city with the brochure giving them direction. And obviously, if we do everything we can to communicate to you the process and you ignore it, then you may wake up one morning and your garbage wasn't picked up. So we are not going to come in with a hammer. I said we're going to come in with education and communication, and we hope people will abide by it. Most people are now. There's just some confusion over the open lid or closed lid, but when the program is fully operational, you're going to have to comply with the regulations. One person raised the issue about the environment, and the experts believe the automated collection system is more efficient environmentally, more environmentally friendly, and economical than the manual collection. It provides standardized receptacles to all residents and improves the aesthetics of the neighborhood. I think we can all agree on that just on the basis of what we've seen so far. It presents a cleaner, uniform appearance and provides less opportunity for wind-blown debris and litter at curbside. Additionally, the automated trucks serve more homes in a day, which means fewer truck hours on the road and hopefully less emissions. Right now, we're doing the back-end tippers with the trucks, and it is, especially with recycling, it's taking us much longer because the more people are doing it. But we'll get the system down as we adjust throughout the process, and it will be more economical and much quicker for us. When I move, do I take my receptacles with me? And the answer is no. They are city issued. They're in clean condition. Leave them at your current address. If you are moving to a different address in Middletown, there should be a receptacle there when you arrive. If not, then you should contact us and we'll do the appropriate investigation and find out where it went. And number two, we will issue you a new one. And same applies if you're moving into a home in Middletown. You just purchased a home and the trash receptacles are not there. The same rules will apply. How will I handle my new collection receptacle in the winter? It should be easier to use in the winter than in your current standard garbage cans, according to people in this field. The wheels are designed to be easily maneuverable through all seasons, including snow. If it's not overloaded, it should be pretty easy to wheel. Now again, if you're having trouble with a large receptacle and you don't produce a lot of garbage, you can go down to the smaller ones that will make it more maneuverable for you. Now we'll open it up to questions from the board or questions from the public. Eileen, do we have anyone online?
We do.
Do anyone have a question?
Not yet.
Okay. Mr. Massey?
Just address the picking up of the current garbage cans.
Yes, that was one question that we received. We addressed at the council meeting. If you want to dispose of your current cans, you can just put them curbside with a sign, take away, garbage, whatever you want to put on it, so that the garbage folks know that they're to remove it, and we will pick it up. If at some point when this is fully implemented and we're requiring you to use these, we will pick them up. We might have a one-day event where we go around picking up the cans off the street on a non-garbage day. For example, maybe a Saturday, maybe just flood the city with all 4 wards and pick them up that day. So whatever's left, but we will pick them up now if you want us to pick them up. Yeah, Tom.
Just remind the people, it's not, any of these cans are not used for yard waste.
Yes.
So use the extra can for the yard waste if you could. And another question I had is, some people that have multiple families, got 2 and 2. If they want to buy an extra one, it's only 1 per household? Have
Well,
you-
you can have up, on a residential, you can have up, for multiple dwellings.
Right.
You can have up to 4 sets, I believe, under the proposal. Now, that's something that I
That's
haven't had.
4 blue and 4 green?
Correct,
All right.
correct. And that would be for multifamily. Now, don't, remember, you're going to be paying, you're only going to get 2 sets of each under the current proposal. The additional 2 sets,
It's 100
you would be
each.
paying $100 for each can.
Okay.
So, so that would be $400 a year, would be cheaper probably than some private pickup that people are going through.
And
if it's
they
a
make the
multi-by-
payment to DPW or,
The payment goes to arrangements through DPW,
okay,
and then Katie then processes it and makes the arrangements for the drop-off. We will make the drop-off to the property. They don't have to come to City Hall or go to the garage. We'll make the arrangements to drop it off.
the annual payment is their responsibility?
No, they'll be billed.
They'll be
There'll be a
billed.
billing
Okay.
set up on an annual billing cycle.
All right.
And that's already been arranged, and I believe there's a form, John Numchuck told me online. I think he's putting a form online, so people can just fill it out if they want, but we'll coordinate that with DPW. Any other questions? Jerry?
Yeah, thank you. We had a question at our ward meeting about, I know we say this will be faster, but the trucks now can go down the middle of the street and collect from both sides. When you have the automated truck, the question was, do you have to go down the street one direction to collect from that side of the street and then come back down the other direction? And why wouldn't that take longer?
Well, why wouldn't it take longer? I'm not a garbage professional. I'm only going by what the people in the field say, that it's a quicker system, but Jacob probably can respond to that. We're not dragging the garbage cans, you're not lifting them, you're not doing all those good things.
Drive behind one of those trucks, the good guys know, oh, that's quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might take longer, and the idea is the city will be cleaner, it's going to be safer for our men, and that's why I urge people to start using the cans. You got the cans, use them. The mayor is saying there isn't going to be enforcement, but you really should be using them now, because that's the whole idea, is to save our men from being hurt and running around and all that stuff. So right now they just walk it, basically. Engage it to the back of the truck, and they dump it and walk it back. There's no weight on their back, on their legs, or anything like that. And one more point, which is what Tommy said about Alderman Bear about the yard waste. Please do not put any yard waste in these big cans, because it will become impossible to move. So just bear that in mind.
And the statistic about taking longer is not my statistic, that's from the sanitation industry. So I'm hoping that our guys are trained properly, that when they start doing this work with the truck, that they'll be able to, I forget what the number was, but it's like less than a minute, or not even a minute, for each property, just reaching out, dump, and then in. But there's no reason why our workers won't be able to meet the standards of other communities' workers and private sector workers.
We have a question from the public.
Yes. Go ahead.
On Facebook, it's what do they do with lawn garbage now, with lawn waste now?
That's the, yeah, you use your own containers right now. There's yard waste pickup is weekly.
Yes.
What day does it go out?
You should put it out Monday morning.
Monday morning, and then we pick up.
Sunday
the-
night.
Throughout the
Put it
week.
out
Sunday
Sunday night, yeah.
night for Monday morning pickup.
Yeah.
And
throughout
it
the
takes
week.
usually a few days to get to. Not the whole city is picked up in one day with yard waste. It depends on how much is out there. But it's seasonal, yeah. But you leave it out for the, until it's picked up. It's not like garbage where you put it out one day and it comes back in. So some of the old garbage cans are a good thing to use, or the best thing to use for leaves is to go to Home Depot or Ayers and Galloway or Lowe's and buy some of the recyclable bags, specific biodegradable bags. But we don't want you to put your yard waste into these containers. They won't pick them up either. They're going to sit there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Jerry?
I have a couple more. The recycling center, you said during normal business hours, but I think most people know it closes at 3, so I don't know if we consider that normal business hours, but you got to be there by 3. What I've heard questioned the most frequently is the additional containers costing $100 annually. And people wouldn't mind paying $100 for the extra container. But particularly, and people brought this up, if it's someone who does have a disability or handicap, and they need the smaller container to be manageable, but if you have 2 of the 35s, you're only putting out 70 gallons of garbage, whereas people who can manage the big can are able to put out 95, but we're going to charge them $100 extra every single year. So I don't know if that's...
Why would, you're assuming that the person who has the disability doesn't have anyone else in the house?
No, people have asked me that specifically in that way, if they don't have anyone else in the house, or they don't have room where they usually keep the cans to have...
I'm not following you with that, the volume of trash, but if there's a specific incident or a specific condition where you have one person in a house, or 2 people who are even disabled, and they need more than a 35 or a 65 gallon can, they need 2 of them on a weekly basis, I don't see that happening, but we can speak with them on an individual basis. As a matter of policy,
They just weren't sure why it was the extra $100 annually rather than
Because-
the extra expense for the can to begin with, because
so
they're not
that's a different
generating-
question. You're mixing someone who's handicapped with a different overall question. And the reason why, it's the same reason why in communities that you don't get 2 garbage cans or unlimited amount of garbage cans per household. Number one, it doubles the route. Everyone would take one. Why wouldn't you take 2? If you, it discourages, and I know you're a recycling advocate, it discourages recycling because there's no need now to separate your garbage and put it into the recycling bin. You got 2 95-gallon bins and just mix it into and do what they're doing now.
Yeah, they
And-
were asking about 2 of the smaller ones instead of 1 of the larger ones.
Well, I think I just said that. If someone's disabled, then we will speak to them. They can come
Okay.
and.
No, that's
they
good.
can
That's-
They can make a hardship claim to us, but I don't see why a disabled person would be producing that much garbage on their own but if there's other people in the house, if, my mother lives with me, she's 91 years old, she wouldn't be able to take out any one of those containers, so.
Right.
But she's, my mother and father, if he was still alive, they wouldn't produce enough garbage to put in one of those containers on a weekly basis, or 2 of those containers on a weekly basis. But if there's a hardship, if you're asking, can we consider a hardship? Yes. But it would depend on.
That was the question as it was put to me.
But it depends on whether there's other people in the house. If someone's disabled and they have, kids in the house, their kids can wheel out their garbage pail.
Yeah, no, this was an older couple asking the question.
And it's just the 2 of them? And they produce that much garbage, I guess we'll see what they produce. But if they need an extra one, if we want to put into the legislation where we can consider on a case-by-case basis, hardship cases, I think we can, depending on the I don't want to legislate that just because you have a disability or a handicap sticker, that you're entitled to get 2 smaller containers. That's not the way and remember, many communities don't even offer the smaller container. It's something that we're offering here because we thought of people who were disabled and elderly.
Right, and we already got the 65s because we just don't generate that much in a week to need the bigger ones, and so they're more convenient.
Yeah, most families are going to need the 95. Most single or just couples will probably get away with a 65.
Right.
And a single person get away with a 35. But that's up to them. If they find that it doesn't meet their needs, then we can always swap it back out if somebody has a disability. If they take a 65 and they think they need a 95, or if they have a hardship, we can talk about it.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
I had one other question too about the resolution as it was presented. It's that the cans should not be set out before 6 p.m. And I don't think we have a specific time. I wasn't able to find it in the code as it is now, but I'm just thinking in December, or in the winter, when it gets dark at 4 p.m. and we're sort of going to just be understanding on that if someone wants to put it out while it's still daylight.
Well,
and
I
put
think
it
the
out at
code,
4.
what is the code now, Jacob?
I couldn't find a time in the code.
Yeah, I think there is a code now.
I thought it was, I had this discussion with the alderman. I thought it was 6 o'clock, but I thought it was already in our code, but
Right, but I couldn't
now he's
find
saying he
that, so
couldn't
if you
find
can
it, so
find
I'm
it.
going to take a step back and look for it. But what I answered, Mayor, is we're not going to have code
We don't
enforcement.
enforce it that way.
Running around 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon with the stopwatch. So if you put it out 5 o'clock in the city,
We'll be forgiving about that. I mean,
We're not only forgiving, we need to have a time, and if you get somebody's putting it out at, on their way to work at 8 o'clock in the morning,
No, that's.
then,
that's not-
so there, but, as you know, we don't hammer people with these things, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is just for protection, so people just don't leave it there 24 hours a day,
No.
which some people do. They've done it. I mean, some people are leaving it curbside.
They still do, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to get visited by code department, so. But we need to have a time. I'm not set on any time, one time, but whether you want to make it 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I think 5 o'clock might be more.
Yeah, that's fine. You can make a change then.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone else online, Eileen? Mr. Massey? Oh, I thought you had a question. No. Jacob, you have anything to add?
you covered it, Mayor, no? You covered it all. Just reminder, the yard waste, and that's it. And start using them, please, because it will save our men, their health and everything. Start using them.
Yes, we want you to start using them now. If you notice, the bid district, as I said, does not have them yet. And I think there's a typo in the legislation pointed out by Mr. Massey that there's a reference to the DMU. It should be a reference to the bid district, not the DMU. So the bid district will be getting them as soon as they come in. They have different legislation, different rules that they have to go by because that's 7-day-a-week pickup. And they have to take their cans in by noon the next day. So, but that's only in the downtown business improvement district area. But we're going to have a meeting with the bid district, and we're going to be inviting them in. We're going to get with the, going through the program with them specifically again. We did it with our parking meeting and sanitation meeting that we had already. But we're going to go address property by property for placement and about the tenant responsibility for the sanitation plan. And the only other thing I wanted to add to the legislation, and this is based on some feedback, some from the planning board members, a member of the planning board, is could we require the same thing of and out in the bid district, we require a commercial property owner or the property owner to have a sanitation plan, not filed with the city, just on hand for the inspectors. so that at least the property owner's thinking about what they're doing with their trash. So a mixed-use property, like say, Tom, your building, you have an apartment upstairs, commercial first floor, we're going to prepare a template, and we'd like to make it part of the legislation, just say who the contact people would be, where your garbage is going to be placed, so that if, in case somebody calls, that you thought about it. That's the idea, is to get people start thinking about what the city is looking for. So in any mixed-use building, we would ask for a sanitation. Like, for example, maybe a two or three unit apartment building, who takes the garbage out and who brings it in? Who's responsible for that? So that the building owner addresses all that.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
We've found tenants that don't know where the garbage is supposed to go.
Yeah.
Leave it in the front step, yeah, so. that'd be
And so we're looking to add that to the main legislation, and expand. And the idea for them came out of reading the bid district requirement and thought, why are we only doing it in the bid district? Why not make it citywide? And it sort of makes sense to me. Any other questions?
Are you going to supply more dumpsters downtown at one time you were talking about?
We're looking at one more location right now. I would like to do two more locations, but, the properties in that area dictate whether you're going to do it or not. But we are looking at one. I did talk to a couple of the property owners in the adjacent area. They think it's a good idea because it's sort of isolated away from everybody, and we'll do it in the same manner we did over on Orchard Street, where it's nicely fenced in and easily washable.
Yeah, because some of the business owners said they don't have the space for the can.
Exactly. Well, one idea that we've given to the bid district people is to not use the can inside, but to put the can out, keep it stored, whether it's your basement, and then every night at whatever period it was, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the hour is, put your can out, and then have your tenants dumping your can out front. Like if you have apartments upstairs, they don't have to have they can just bag their garbage, because on a daily basis, they're only producing one bag at the most. Put the empty can out, see you pick it up, and then have one person responsible for bringing it in and storing it in some kind of space. One of our people who raised the concern was our esteemed counsel, Smith, who claimed he didn't have any storage space. Well, he has a basement. So Mr. Smith will have to bring his can in the morning and bring it out at night. And it can't be a bag. It has to be into the can, and he has space in his basement. So he'll have to go down the stairs and come back up the stairs. Life, I guess. But, we're also willing to look at this as we progress, and if we need to make changes, we make changes. But I think everyone, and the feedback from the public has been very positive about their neighborhood is cleaner, and doesn't look like, trash cans strewn all over the yard. They don't see the birds coming, and
Like the crow problem.
the crow, yeah, it'll help with the crow problem.
We have another question online.
We do, go ahead.
Is the 30 feet that the garbage cans have to be taken away from the public street, is that for the DMU zone only, DMU district only, or is that for all residents?
No, that's currently the code now, unless you have some special circumstance where you can't. And that can be addressed through DPW, but the current code requires them to be 30 feet from the road. And the DMU, we're going to have more of those cases in the DMU, and that's why we're having these special meetings. And each property will have, if there are special circumstances, we'll address it with the property owner. Jacob?
Mayor, also, if they have the option of putting it within an enclosure, if it's less than 30 feet,
Okay.
it has to be approved by DPW.
Right, you're talking about a homeowner too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if you cannot
But
put
an
it within
approved
30 feet,
enclosure.
you can build an enclosure for it. It has to be.
Right, so if they had like a little garbage shed or something like that, yeah.
Exactly.
But
It's in the
still,
code.
we want, we're always, your role is the aesthetics for the neighbors too.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
and so it would have to be approved by DPW. We don't want to create neighbor wars where you're putting your garbage on my property line and those types of things. So it'll have to be approved by DPW.
And the second question is, many people have reasons to be out of town for multiple days and still need the service. Are they able to put their garbage out in advance if that's the case?
No, they're not allowed to do that now.
Okay.
They can, if they have recyclables, they can bring them to the recycling depot, or they can make an arrangement with their neighbor. I was just away for 8 days, and I had to have a neighbor come out and bring my garbage over and to the curb on the one night a week. But no, you cannot put your garbage out for multiple days. Jerry, did you have a question?
I just was going to add on the 30-foot rule that in the code now, that can be waived by the commissioner if you have a situation where it's impossible for you to, you don't have the yardage in front and you
Correct.
don't have a way to get it around back. As the commissioner said, some kind of enclosure or something, but he can look at it and determine
Exactly.
what's safe.
The intent of this is to make the community nicer. It's
Yeah,
not to bust
exactly.
chops or to beat up on anybody. So it's going to be very flexible, and that's why we're giving the commissioner a lot of discretion in how he interprets or allows for alternate uses. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank everyone, and public, if you have any other questions, please give us, you can email myself or call my office or call DPW, call your alderman, and we'll be more than happy to address them. Thank you very much.